By now, you've heard about Global Poker, one of the fastest growing online card rooms available in the US and Canada today. So what's stopping you from trying it out? Global Poker is a safe and secure social poker site that uses their own patented sweepstakes model. Signing up is easy. You can use Google, Facebook, or just an email address. You can always play for free on Global Poker, but you can also buy gold coins for additional play, which will earn sweeps coins that can be redeemed for real cash to a bank account, Skrill account, or even as a gift card. Get a free 5,000 gold coins when you sign up right now at globalpoker.com.
Poker Stories is an audio series that features casual interviews with some of the game's best players and personalities. Each episode highlights a well-known figure in the poker world and dives deep into their favorite tales, both on and off the feld.
Hello and welcome back to Poker Stories, a podcast brought to you by Card Player, the Poker Authority, and hosted by me, Julio Rodriguez. This is episode number 117, featuring Dutch poker professional Lex Veldhuis. Lex is 37 years old and was actually more into video games growing up. He got very good at StarCraft, but those guys, which included Victor Goossens and ElkY Grospellier, pointed Lex in the direction of online poker, and he never looked back. Lex has gone on to play in some of the biggest cash games and tournaments in the world. He final tabled the $40,000 buy-in 40th anniversary tournament at the World Series of Poker and also won the Dutch Poker Open in his home country of the Netherlands. His play got the attention of Poker Stars, who signed him on as a brand ambassador in 2009. In addition to achieving Supernova Elite status 3 years in a row, he also competed on poker TV shows such as The Big Game and High Stakes Poker. In 2016, he began showcasing his online play on Twitch and quickly became one of the platform's most popular poker streamers. In fact, last year he set the record for the most viewers watching a single broadcast. Oh, and did I forget to mention that he and ElkY once fought each other in a six-figure prop bet? Anyway, that's enough intro. Here is my conversation with Lex Veldhuis. I'm here with Lex Veldhuis. Lex, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Julio?
I'm doing great. What time is it over there?
I think it's a more comfortable time for me than you. It's 4 p.m. over here.
Oh, I was worried it was like the middle of the night for you. I mean, it's 7 a.m. here, which may seem early to you, but I got to be up and at 'em to get my kids ready to school, at the crack of dawn. So I'm already well into my day. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a new dad, so I know everything about it. But I've been on like this responsible 6:15 a.m. get up time schedule for like 5 years now, so I know all about it. Yeah.
5 years now.
Yeah.
Is that so that you can catch the tournament schedule at the right time, or?
Yeah, it's been like me and my fiance. We've currently been together for like 6 years, and I just realized it was a very positive spin on my life, and I just realized that I wasn't gonna see her much if I kept grinding evenings, and same with my friends. And I've had like years of investing into poker, and I felt like it was time to kind of pour poker into the vat that was social life for a change. So I figured that if I'm gonna see my friends, family, and fiance, I'm gonna have to play during the day. So yeah, then I have to make a certain starting time to catch the best tournaments in the morning. So that results in 6:15 getting up.
The 3 Fs: friends, family, and fiance, huh?
There you go. Yeah.
The rest of the world is awake during the daytime. It's super weird. But the poker world operates at a different frequency, obviously. You mentioned you're a new dad. Congratulations. How are you adjusting?
Yeah, it's I took 5 weeks off right at the start, so was there for everything. Did about 200 poop diapers. Just really enjoying the moment. It took us a while for my fiance to get pregnant, and so it just feels like a huge gift, and it is, and it's been really good. It's just really nice. I don't know. It just gives us something to be very excited about, and it's just very nice to start a family of our own.
It's also a good perspective, I bet, right? Like the bad beats don't hurt as much when when you have other issues to deal with in the house, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's weird. I feel like I matured a lot over the last 4, 5, 6 years in my career, but this definitely is another one of those stepping stones that makes you find an even deeper perspective, like you said. And I feel like I've been really responsible over the last few years, also with like future planning and stuff. But now it's even more so. Where I just think like, holy shit, he has to go to college, like, or if that's all in if that's the line for him or whatever. But I at least want to be able to afford him going to college. So I have to be smart, and you can degen and all that stuff. So definitely a good thing to have.
That's right. You finally learning the value of money now that you can equate it to a college fund and
Yeah,
I guess baby care products.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. I also, yeah. No, I've been humbled in the past a few times, so I think I was already on the right track for a while, but it definitely doesn't hurt.
Let's do what we do in this show, which is go back to the beginning. We want to hear your poker origin story. But even before poker, let's go back to the Netherlands where you were born, 1983. Just snuck in there in 1983.
Yeah.
Can you pronounce your hometown for me? Vlissingen.
Yeah,
Vlissingen?
that's it. Vlissingen. Yeah.
Oh,
A lot of people from the States say Vlissingen, but it's Vlissingen.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
Well, I may have looked it up. So, obviously, you were a gamer growing up, right?
Yeah, I started really early. I started at the age of like, I remember my uncle gave me an NES, a Nintendo 8-bit, and he gave me Zelda with it. Zelda and Mario 1, and I started playing when I was 5 years old.
Well,
And by
that's
the time,
really early. I mean,
yeah,
we're the same
yes,
age. I'm trying to figure out when I got my first Nintendo. I think it was like, it couldn't have been earlier than like early 90s. So, yeah, you were early for,
yeah, I was a very early adapter, and kind of grew up with Nintendo. And at a certain point, my mom and dad gave me this alarm clock because I wake up a lot at night, and they explained to me that when a certain number appeared, then it was time for school. But I figured out how to put an actual alarm clock, how to set the alarm function, and I would put my alarm at 4 a.m. and I would always play 4.5 hours of Nintendo before school, like covering the TV and myself with a blanket, that sort of stuff. So just, yeah, always gamed a lot.
wow. So you couldn't get enough, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's
What
just
was your first game love?
it has to be Zelda. Zelda and Street Fighter were huge for me. I would just walk around in Zelda, because you're super inexperienced and clearly like you're not fully developed when you're 5 or 6. So, um,
Yeah.
playing through the game of Zelda takes like months and months and months, if not like a year, to have a full playthrough. So I just pick it up, walk around, and just try to collect different things. And same with Street Fighter. That's actually one of the first big purchases I've made. I've saved up for it for a long time, and I would like do all these little chores at my grandparents' house to get like a €1 and then save them all up. And that game back then was €240. So imagine how much I
What?
saved. Yeah, it's insane, insane. It was like just came from Japan, like all this stuff, and I for some reason I knew how to pre-order it, or my dad set that up, but I had to pay for it myself, and they wanted me to work so they could teach me the value of saving and stuff. And I was so proud of that game. I played that game for like two straight years.
You got your money's worth, especially if you're
True
going to pay
that.
that much. Man, I thought
Yeah,
games were
crazy.
still expensive today. And
Yeah, it's insane.
$50, I'll get you a game. For 240 back
Yeah.
then. I always laugh when I look at like advertisements from the late 80s and you see camcorders going for like $3,000. It's like
Yeah.
tape loaded ones. All right, so you're playing Nintendo. Obvious. Are you discovering that you have a knack for it, or is it more just you're a little kid and you're addicted?
No, it's like I really enjoyed the idea of exploring, and I think that I really enjoyed the learning curve aspect. But with Street Fighter, right? That's definitely one of the first one-on-one game I played, and me and my friends would play all the time, and we practice moves, and it sounds weird because it's all, of course, in a very experimental and very innocent, but you would still discover tendencies of your friends, right? Like some are worse at jumping over fireballs and stuff like that, and they time it wrong, and you try to do more fireballs against them. So um, I definitely noticed that I would get further in games quicker than some of my friends, and I would beat them more when we played one-on-one. But like it's not something you're very conscientious of, right? So yeah, I mean, I definitely figured I had a knack for it, but that really kind of came to show when I started like PC gaming and started doing more online games.
So were you an indoor kid basically your whole childhood, or were other interests?
It's actually like when I would describe how my gaming life looked like and what I would play, you would definitely think so. But at the same time, I played tennis. I think like 4, 5 times a week with like a full match day every Sunday. So I was out like playing tennis. I would say like at least 10 hours a week. And then we'd also when I got to my teens, we started playing a lot of football on like this little pitch near our houses, and sometimes we play like 5 times a week, sometimes like 3, 4 hours straight. Like our parents would have to come get us. So I don't exactly know how I fit all the Nintendo time in there. I guess I was very time efficient back then.
That's why you got up at 4 a.m. It's like a job.
Exactly. Yeah, early adapter to the busy daytime schedule.
So, uh, what was your school plans? I know you went to university, but it wasn't something you were definitely going, or eager to do at first.
Yeah, school was always like I was always had a lot of drive when I was younger. Like when from very young till I would say that from like my fifth in school until I was like 13, I would pretty much get like 100% on most tests, or like A's, like straight A's. Um, but I think that's also because my parents were kind of hammering down on school a lot, and I had sort of like have to do good, pleasing factor. Teachers saying I'm smart, my parents are saying I need to go to school, need to study a lot, and they were pretty strict with that too.
And
So
you
I
didn't want
felt
to
like,
lose your Nintendo either.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, playing privileges. But I kind of rebelled against that when I was 14, 15, and I had to redo a class, and just ran into some motivational issues with school. And I think that also made me fail my high school exam. I had to redo that, but then I went to university. But in the first year of university, I already realized that I wanted to play poker. I always kind of went in against the grain, so to say, and kind of poker offered me to do things my way, my pace, and it was almost like a video game to me. So I mean, I went to
Well, yeah,
school, but as soon,
let's go before we get to school, because now you're at the poker part. Because
yeah,
before this, you were into StarCraft, right?
yeah, correct, yeah. So when I was 12, 11, 12, I think that's when online gaming started happening. I had a PC in my room, which was one of the worst decisions my parents could have ever made. Uh, and I started playing a lot of StarCraft Brood War, and started playing it online. And me and my friends were playing, but I started playing more and more, and lots of kids at school were playing it. But I started getting really good at it. And yeah, I would just play a lot. I would just grind that game. I mean, man, I've done a lot of really long poker sessions in my life, like really marathon sessions, but I think I also had like StarCraft sessions that just lasted like 18, 20 hours when I was 13, you know? Just like same thing, would just kind of like lock myself up behind a computer, get up really early, kind of like hide the fact, pretend like I'm doing homework, that sort of stuff. Start
Did you
making a lot of
have did you think you could make money playing games? Or was it just
no.
a fact that you wanted to win?
N- no, it was just like I love kind of immersing myself in, like, I love reading fancy books, and I think that's kind of the same trigger, right? Like you're in this online landscape, you have nicknames, you have all these people with different skill, you get better, you beat somebody for the first time, so it's almost like a sort of like a fantasy world combined with competitiveness. But back then, I mean, like the most legit gamers were flown out to a tournament where they could win hardware. You know, I remember one of my biggest moments was when I got a mouse sent home from like some Microsoft team that I joined, and they sent a mouse to my house. You know, just insane.
That was the payment.
That was it. That was for joining a clan, playing it, like playing games for it, and everything. I mean, that the landscape now is so much different. There wasn't esports, right? There were no big tournaments. There were just like, I mean, if somebody was like a StarCraft enthusiast that was like 20 plus, he could hold a tournament somewhere and fly in some players to play it. But that's about it. Like, that's when the first people started going to Korea a bit, because that's kind of the hub of StarCraft. And some people would, there wasn't any American esports tournaments yet, for instance. It's like, it's so early days esports.
And it was these gamers that introduced you to poker?
Yeah, exactly. So one of my friends that I met through StarCraft, he pretty much told me like, this is like, when I was 18, 19, and he said to me, and this is when I wanted to live on my own. So I moved out of the house when I was 18. And I was looking for a summer job to be able to, pay my share of the rent. And then he said, "Hey, I found a video game you can make money with." Those were his exact words. And
that's hilarious to phrase it that way.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, "Oh, holy shit, what is that?" He's like, poker." I was like, "Oh, I played some poker back in the day, and we played some like shitty 5-card draw with some weird rules and stuff." And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I've always been interested in poker," but let me tell you, like the variant of 5-card draw that we played had nothing to do with poker. It was just stupid, kind of. So
lots of wild cards.
Yeah, wild cards. But I mean, just to give an idea, like we would play 25-cent ante with a 50% cap. So if somebody raised, nobody was even allowed to re-raise. And then you would still you would get like 15-1 on every decision, but still you would throw your 2 pair away because you had an idea that somebody was strong, So just really kind of like a juvenile way to play, but it was fun. But still, it didn't teach me any mechanics about poker or card games. So when it came to me, it was like very so just like I did treat it like a video game because I played it online and there were pictures and stuff and there was strategy. And my friends told me, actually my friend that got me started, he's Victor Goossens. He's a founder and co-CEO of Team Liquid now, which is one of the biggest esports organizations. And he told me about it, and he said first just play free rolls, play for play money, do that for 2 months, and then after that I'll send you $10, and you can start playing 1-2 cent and stuff. And that's where I started. I just started playing the penny tables, but definitely got into poker through my StarCraft friends. Yeah.
So that's interesting that it was these gamers that got you into it and not, watching it on TV or seeing Moneymaker win the main event. Because I think this was 2004, right? So right after.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. And it's funny because it still was kind of like a trickle down process from the Moneymaker effect, because the American pros, they started first, the American StarCraft pros adopted it, and then they saw the World Series and they were like, "Oh, look at this." And then the other guys just ran with it because of their StarCraft friends. But the guys who first started playing it were definitely the American guys who knew about the World Series. So I had no idea who Moneymaker was 2 years into my career, but in a way I did start playing through him,
But it's interesting because it kind of leads you down this path into what you want your poker career to look like, right? Because I think some people, when they saw Moneymaker, they dreamed of Vegas and getting to that stage at Bobby's room and playing heads up with Doyle Brunson eventually, and then from you coming from the gaming background, now you've found your place online and obviously have this army of Twitch followers, and, that's where your bread and butter is. What was your poker motivation? Did you ever have, dreams of making it to Vegas and being a live high stakes pro, or were you always about, being the gamer that you are deep down?
I think the first 2-3 years it definitely was all about just playing the game and grinding and the competition. And really I felt like it was like an XP grind. I was leveling up, and every new stake that I would try and get to felt like the next level. And it was also very real money wise. Like I remember cashing out my first €1,000. It's just shocking. Like people didn't believe it. Like my friends and stuff. It was weird. Like they were shocked. Like nobody really believed it. They were, of course, like also semi-worried because to them it was like completely unheard of that you could do it, that you could make money with that. But
I'm sure you're treating your bankroll at this point more like a score than actual dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. So and the money that I was taking out, it was like it was nice, but I also constantly felt the need to just like build it. I really felt like building it, and I was going through the stakes pretty fast, and my poker friends, they were also super hungry, and I really realized at that moment, like I'm super young. I really feel like I have a shot at this. I'm starting to make good money, and all of a sudden I would make like 2,000-3,000 a month, which is like insane when you're 19, 20. And this is actually when I started watching season 1 of the EPT on Eurosport. And I saw the Barcelona edition and then the other ones, and then we watched season 3 of WPT, which is also such a, with the Gus Hansen and Negreanu and all those guys, and it was just, that was mesmerizing. It showed us like this whole world that was there in live play as well. And actually that's when the poker dream itself started to live. Like, I want to get to Vegas, I want to play the World Series, I want to play an EPT, I'm going to start trying to qualify for EPTs. And that's when it also transitioned from like a video game angle into like a really like I want to get to the highest level in poker angle.
So what was your first live experience?
Season 2, my first live experience was EPT London. That was I went there. I started going to some live casinos to get some experience playing because I had never played. Apart from that, we would still play with friends, but I've never played in a casino before, and I make all the classic mistakes, string bets, announcing stuff that I shouldn't announce. I was counting out my chips like right in front of my face, like all that stuff, But I mean, at that time, I was already multi-tabling 5-10 online, so it was like fundamentally, I was probably the best player in the room because nobody was really grinding online that much. I mean, people were playing online, but not grinding, like especially not the live players. So I was one of the earliest, waves of online kids that went to live. So, that I was just sitting there and I was kind of just like, not announcing everything correctly, and people were kind of like laughing at it and stuff. But then I was pounding the table as well because I just played super aggressive because, I came from online aggressive games. And then I practiced a few times live. I went to EPT London, had the same experience. I was just, but it blew my mind, like this whole poker festival, and I saw all those people from TV, and like everybody I talked to was just so inspiring, really. So that's really when I fell in love in like the world beyond the felt.
Yeah, what did you think of the poker world compared to the gaming world?
Actually, it's kind of funny because like in the gaming world, it was still a lot of like there were a lot more flamboyant people in poker. Like a lot more outspoken extroverts and people that were loud and people that wore bright clothes or jewelry and like just very friendly. Like very outspoken. A lot of really social. Like gaming has always kind of or gaming was always more of a niche where people knew that they all liked something, and then you kind of gelled over that. But like like when two gamers get in a room and they meet each other for the first time, they usually talk about the game that they play a lot. So if I met gamers, we just talk about StarCraft all day. But then all of a sudden you sit at a poker table and people are asking, oh, what do you do? What is this? Like where are you from? And whoa, you're young. What are you doing here? And all that stuff. And then all of a sudden it was more like real world. And I love that I met people from all walks of life, which was the same in gaming, but now you actually talked about all those walks in life,
Right.
That was I love that. I love that social aspect about poker.
So were you pretty much traveling the circuit right away, or were you just taking shots here and there for satellites?
Yeah, I was just taking shots for satellites because like my bankroll was like 15,000-20,000 euros back then. So I mean, I can't start playing. I think EPTs were like 3K back then. But I was lucky enough. Out of like my first 10 satellite bullets, I think I won like let's just say this, like my first 6 EPTs cost me like 8 satellite tries. So I mean, I
That's
was
running
just
hot.
yeah, exactly. So I was just they seemed so easy. It almost felt like a print at a certain point. Oh, cool! I want to go to EPT Deauville. Let me play satellite. Boom, got it. You know. So um, I would definitely wouldn't say that I was traveling the circuit, but I was trying to play as much as I can. Even though I think it went pretty fast because in season 2, I think I played quite a few EPTs, like 5 of them, and then the year after, I was that year was like a rocket ship for me because as soon as I started playing EPTs, live cash games, super motivated to grind online because I wanted to get to that level. Because I mean, I saw Antonius. Everybody was like standing around his laptop because Antonius was playing 300, 600 Omaha high low against somebody. I was like, 300, 600? How can you play that high? That's just insane. You know, I sat there on the ground just watching him play, and like clearly Antonius, this was like before he became super famous and stuff as well. So I just saw that and I was like, I need to get to that level. I need to be able to just sit down and just play those stakes if I want to. I need to get better. Like, in my own little world, I felt like I was pretty good, but then I saw like all these really insane players, and Tom Dwan was at that EPT Deauville. That was my second or third EPT. He was there, and oh cool, oh let's hold him now. I played against him on PokerStars all the time, and then you see those people like play more and more high stakes and go have all the success. So that was a huge drive for me. And I think even a year later, I was already in Vegas, like playing 25-50 and stuff. So that year is definitely was a very wild
Yeah,
first year.
that's a huge a fast start to a career for sure.
Yeah.
Were there any crazy obstacles where you just thought, okay, maybe this isn't going to work out?
Yeah,
Did you ever have anything like that?
Yeah, I was way too emotional when I started. I took it very personal when I lost. I was very sore loser. I would play way too high. I would keep playing way too high. I was playing too tough games. Just kind of like where you have to learn that in gaming you lose some points, and you're young, and you have to be humbled that way. And um, like at a certain point I just realized like I need to take this I need to approach this in a more positive manner. And I never would do it live, but like online would sometimes really upset me and I'll play bad. And like my friend Victor that got me into poker, like he really straightened me out too. And I've always been pretty erratic when I was younger, but it definitely it went away, right? Like I definitely stopped playing bad because of it. I've always like been pretty emotional playing poker. I still am, but now it's like an asset to me because it makes me feel very invested. Like I never have any more that any type of emotion affects the way I play. I stick to my plan and strategy, and I'm very good at playing my A game. But back in the day I wasn't, and that was a big obstacle for me. So that took me a little bit. Like I mean, luckily, poker was super soft and it didn't really matter in a way. But I had to smarten up about that.
It's interesting. You say there's two schools of thought, I guess, in poker. You see some poker players who are more robotic in their decision making, and they try to take emotion completely out of it. And then the other side of the coin, people say, well, if you do that, that's all well and good, but then you don't care when you lose. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that becomes the
yeah.
problem.
I think so too. Like I definitely think that like if 999 out of 1,000 people start playing poker, their best bet is to try to be robotic, right? So it's always dangerous because when people watch my stream, they say too, "Oh, I love that you're being emotional and not being a robot." It's like, yeah, okay, hey, but I have 17 years of experience,
Right.
right? I've played this game for fucking 17 years now, so I know exactly where I stand on it, and I was able to kind of mold it into something that works for me. But I've always needed that competitiveness. If I play heads up against somebody every single day, then I need to hate my opponent because if I dislike him or he annoys me, I hate a strong word, but if I dislike him and I'm playing and I'm gonna fucking destroy this guy tomorrow. I need to destroy this guy. What do I need to destroy this guy tomorrow? And it's like, okay, I need to study. Let's go through his hand histories. Let's go through his stats, all that stuff. And I'll kind of like make somebody my nemesis if I played them a lot. Or if I was 24 tabling and I was playing the same two guys every day, I needed to feel that insane rivalry to push me to play well and be focused and all that stuff. So, like if somebody says something like, "Oh, it's so cool, we're playing this heads up challenge and somebody, it doesn't matter, we can just sit at the table." It's like, that's hard to relate to for me, right? Like I'll always, if I lose a big pot, like that's never personal in a way, but if I'm battling against somebody, if they would say online, like, it's more competitive for me. So I'm not trying to, like, don't confuse it with like being salty or a sore loser or something, right? Like, but I would be frustrated with myself, or I would be angry if I lost, or I would be angry if I made mistakes, and I didn't have that robot in me. And the times I tried that, I felt super flat playing, and it wouldn't really motivate me. And so I kind of stepped away from that when I was mature enough to also not let it affect my play, and that where I could really channel it into motivation. So let's say I was let's say I met somebody at an EPT that I had been battling online a lot. Love to meet them, have a drink, really enjoy my time, like so it's all like all good. It's nothing personal, but in my head I was still like, I'm gonna get you next week, motherfucker. Like I would still have that in my head. So it's useful for me. But like I said, I think that a lot of people that hear that, and I say this on my stream as well, a lot of people that hear that might think, "Oh, I have the same thing and it can be so useful." No, you're just tilting, buddy. Like a lot of people lie to themselves that it's good for them, but they're actually just tilting and making bad decisions. And I think that if you have been, going hard in the paint for a long time, then you're a little bit more aware of what the status of your game is, and you do reviewing and studying and all that stuff. And you see like, oh, I actually played really well, even though I was, even though I screamed a few times behind my computer. So
yeah, can you be emotional and still make the right play?
Yeah, exactly. And I figured out I can. So, but it's not for everyone. So it's a little bit like, I always need to give that disclaimer, right? Because otherwise somebody heard it works for him. So it's not,
right.
Yeah.
Right. It's that Jordan attitude, the Tiger attitude
Exactly.
as well. It's that you have to have a villain across from you. It has
Exactly.
to be
That's
life or death, high stakes, even if it's not high stakes.
That is such a good comparison, because when I was watching the Jordan Last Dance documentary, it felt so like something I could relate to so much. Like he's having fun and he's talking to Reggie Miller and they're playing these practice games, and the practice games are super feisty and everything, and like they're friends now and stuff. And but like back then he just wanted to eat them, and that's like that's the thing. If he misses a shot or something, and somebody would say. And somebody would look at him and he wouldn't go like, "Oh yeah, I missed this time, but hey, it's fine," and then somebody else, "Oh, I know, Michael," and "Yeah, it's okay, bud," and then they would fist pound and continue the game. Like, what? That, because that's kind of what that's the difference. So I'm glad you give me that example, because I don't want it to come across like I'm some salty, I'm not a sore loser, but
yeah.
I'm hyper competitive that way, and I think that helped me a lot in my career.
2009 was a big year for you professionally. You made a deep run in the main event and got some airtime there. I don't know how you felt about your portrayal. And then you also final tabled the 40K at the WSOP that year. Yeah, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, that was a really good year for me. Also online, I think that 2009 was really good in general. That's when I started hanging out also with Fatima Moreira de Mello and her boyfriend. She's known in poker, and we hung out before she started playing poker and becoming an ambassador. But her and her
she was
boyfriend.
a field hockey player, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She won gold, silver, and bronze at Field Hockey Olympics. And her boyfriend was a high-ranked tennis, he was a high-ranked tennis player. He is still her boyfriend, is what I'm trying to say. So her and Raymond, they really helped me out. I started doing more sports and, kind of going outside a little bit more. And that really had a good positive spin on my life. And that year was just such a good year for me, because I was crushing online and I was playing super high stakes. And, I would sit at 40K, 20K, 10K buy-ins, and play 25-50 all day. It was just like very good. Like I felt like I was a little bit more about out of the sort of erratic period, but I felt like this is when I was kind of reaping what I sowed. It was just good. I was making good money. I was playing live tournaments. It was just all going well. And then at WCP was great for me. The main event coverage like kind of put my career into how do you say that, into like a jet stream or something, with getting my name out there. And that's also the first year I believe I signed with Stars, so that all came together. And the 40K was just a nice score, and it was good coverage as well, because a lot of the coverage, a lot of the stuff that they shot during the 40K, a lot of the interviews and stuff, they didn't end up showing because I got seventh, and nobody cares, obviously. But then they got to use all that footage for when I destroyed that main event table. So you had some interviews, some insights, all that stuff, and the high stakes poker was right after that. So that 2009 was huge for me. I think in 2009 I also won the Dutch Championships, or that was in 2010 or something.
That was 2010. I did want to talk to you about that, because that has to feel pretty good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Like that was also like one of my first big tournament scores. So it was just, I don't know, it was great. It really got a sort of a monkey off my back, and it was really nice to have that title, and it's also like for people back home, if you talk to your family and stuff and they ask you about poker, or it was always such a mystical, weird thing, and people, like at least half the people thought it was just gambling, and then you say like, oh yeah, but I'm champion, I'm national champion, and then people are like, oh shit, then all of a sudden you're real, even though that was relatively a lot lower stakes than I would normally play. That's real,
Yeah. You
So
had the hardware.
yeah, exactly. So
and you were heads up with your friend, right?
Yeah. One of my best friends, I played heads up against, and it was kind of funny too, because it was super competitive, where some people might be worried that people are, your best friends and stuff, but we'd have like these jack high calls at the final table. That was good. And then he would check raise the river against me in some nasty spot, and he'd show me a bluff, like literally try to tilt me. So, but we ended up getting first and second, which was super nice.
Did you hate him in that moment? Did you like lie to yourself about him to try to
get? No, that's actually, I mean, I think when you play against your friends, there's definitely that like, oh my God, I hope he does well. But I taught him poker, and he got into poker through me, so I definitely wanted to show him who's boss as well,
Yeah, so, that was all the motivation you needed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's like Michael Jordan playing his best friend now. No, but
he'd still crush him.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it was all good. But yeah, those 2 years, like everything really came together for me, I would say.
Let's talk about high stakes poker. What was your experience shooting that?
That was crazy. That was crazy. I remember Negreanu called me and he said, hey, they've seen your footage from World Series of Poker, and they're wondering if you also, Daniel knew, but he's like, listen to this. They were wondering if you also wanted to play cash games, with me being primarily a cash grinder, but what people saw on TV was me playing tournaments. So I was like, oh shit, yeah, I want to play high stakes poker. So Morias Kandani, then I had him on the phone. He's like, hey, do you want to play? And he's like, you're going to play probably a pretty tough lineup. I was like, oh yeah, so, you're going to use me as the crowbar on a tough table. He's like, no, but, we have one spot left. And I was like, fuck it, I don't give a shit. I'll play any table. Little did I know it would be Ivy, Antonius, Dwan, and Negreanu, and fucking Andrew Roble, and it's tough cookie to crack. But that for me was one of the biggest milestones in my career, and not because getting on high stakes poker is not some sort of certificate of skill or anything, right? Because if you play a lot, and let's say you play a lot and you play a lot of high stakes, and there's a good chance you can get on if you want. But for me personally, because I knew I started at free rolls and played 1-2 cents, I felt like I made the highest limits possible, like the end goal, the highest stage. The first season high stakes poker came out, I was playing $50 buy-in games, and I watched it like every Monday with my friends. It aired on Sunday. We'd get it on Monday and we'd watch it, and it was just such a milestone. Just like I just thought to myself, this can't be fucking real. I was just sitting next to Ivy, and they were doing interviews, and then Antonius comes in, and I swap money with Antonius for money online, and he comes in and he's like, oh, hey Patrick, hi, I'm Lex, hi, do you have he's like, oh, how much? It's like, yeah, do you have? We swapped. He's like, yes. Oh, fuck yes. I was like, oh, what do you mean, fuck? That's my buy-in, you know? And then he's like, how much did I? Oh yeah, I was like, 300K. Okay, here it is. Oh, cool. Okay. And that's like, hi, these are my buy-in. And I was like, well, it's just 25K chips. Like, where did you get these? Oh, Patrick gave them to me. Yeah, but what's your ID? Like, I was like, I don't fucking know. And then I was like, okay, come do an interview. And then I was just like, holy shit. And then they were calling from some American newspaper. And it's like, oh, it's this new kid. And I had to do an interview there. And it was like super crazy. And I just kept thinking, wow, this is insane. And I had a friend of mine from Vegas with me, and he doesn't play poker. But he was just like sitting next to me. He's like, wow, this is surreal. And then we walked into this on the set, and I saw that, like, you know, that set that everybody knows from high stakes poker, and I was just like, oh shit. And I was pretty nervous, but then as soon as the first hand was dealt, I was like, this is just a fucking game of poker, and I know exactly what to do, you know. So, but it was surreal. Like, it's definitely, like, I mean, getting to the EPT was big in the first sense of motivation, and then getting to high stakes poker felt super special to me.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, and you're right. You know, if you own a few car dealerships and you happen to play in Vegas long enough, they'll probably get you on high stakes poker, or poker after dark eventually. But to come from, you know, free rolls in the Netherlands all the way to Las Vegas, and sitting across from, you know, 3 of 4 of the top players ever, you know, that's surreal in the least. You know, through Poker Stars, you've been on a bunch of TV shows over the years. You know, how do you feel like you do on camera? Do you play the same? Do you play differently?
I tend to, like, I tend to play more aggro. But that's also just because, like, you kind of get a feel for people, you know, and people don't like to make big mistakes in big pots on camera. And I always felt like, you know, regardless of, like, or, you know, even though I'm super competitive and I hate losing and stuff, like, I can take losses really well, you know. I am fully prepared if I play a 200K buy-in game to know that I can lose 400K, whatever I have with me there, you know. So, like, I accept that responsibility at the start, and so that's not with me. If I'm stuck 150K in a session during the big game, that's not in the back of my head, like, holy shit, 150,000, like, this is pretty high stakes, all that stuff, you know. Like, you decide what you can afford and do all the bankroll management decisions and stuff beforehand. And I always had 100% on myself. So I was completely okay with being there, and I played pretty high stakes already, right? And I knew that you're playing against people, and some people sold like 60, 70%, and some people were nervous. They felt like it was good marketing and stuff. So I just felt like I just need to take them in deep waters and show them the Twilight Zone, kind of, you know. So that's why I played so many hands and played so aggro, and I think definitely over the top sometimes, but at the same time, I think it's fine for those TV shows. But also, like, I just love the big game and the setup with the qualifier that could only take home the money that they won, and it just created, like, such a cool spin to it, you know?
That was an awesome idea, especially when it got down to the end and people were trying to hold on to their money.
Yeah, exactly. And that created, like, and, you know, I mean, and if they were down and they need to play, that created such a sick dynamic. Like, I called Daniel with King High in a certain spot on the river, just because of the dynamic around the loose cannon, you know. Like, he check raised me before the loose cannon had acted, and that just made me think, like, why would you push him outside the action? Like, this guy has like 15 hands to play and he needs to make a profit. Like, why would you take the possibility of him away to bluff, you know? And that resulted in me calling like King High and being good and all that stuff. So it's just like an extra level to a 6-7 handed cash game. And yeah, it was awesome. But I think in general, you know, I'm comfortable with my game. I'm comfortable with the mistakes that I make. I don't feel any pressure from how people think I play. I really enjoy table chat and all that stuff. So, you know, I don't get, I talk a lot. So I don't know. I feel super comfortable. I love playing the TV games. I really, really do.
The, you know, you met ElkY,
Mm-hmm.
Bertrand, back in the day at StarCraft,
Yeah.
and then a few years later you decided to beat him up. What was that about?
Yeah, so we did a kickboxing prop bet. Like me and ElkY have always been competitive. So he's one of the people like early on in my poker career, together with my friend Victor, that would talk to me about poker a lot. And I mean, ElkY was already playing like $500 and $1,000 heads up sitting goes on PokerStars when I was grinding, $25 buy-in. So he was definitely one of the StarCraft people that got real good at poker real fast. And he was also probably one of the best Western StarCraft players the game had ever seen, right? He was one of the only people who was able to hold his own in Korea, playing against all the pros there. So, we played StarCraft together. He was better than me. Then we played poker. We started meeting each other. We did a bench press bet. We did a weight loss bet. Like all this stuff. He lived with us for a few months as well, and then we do dart bets. We played pool and we'd bet. We do bowling, like everything, right? So me and ElkY started breeding this like really competitive thing against each other, where we constantly wanted to show up and crush each other, I mean, even as good friends, we played online. And I remember this so well. I was playing at my mom's house, and I wanted to go there for a few days of quiet, but games were really good, so I got on my laptop and we started playing six-handed, and I was stuck a lot. And ElkY and I were the only ones that were left at the tables at like 1 a.m. Next thing you know, we started playing heads up for 9 hours straight on 4 tables, 10-20, and we had the craziest hands, the craziest spots, and at a certain point he wanted to quit, and I said to him, "If you think you can quit now, asshole, you're so wrong." And then I would get up, and I would just like try to tilt him, and I would just send him like a text message saying, "Hey, good night, buddy, gonna go soon." And he was like, "I swear to God, I'm gonna punch you in the face next time I see you." So, we'd have this thing, but we were really good friends. So at a certain point, we're at EPT Barcelona, and people were having some beers, and we're sitting outside on the terrace, and some people were playing tournaments on their laptop online, and I was sitting high stakes heads up, and I was waiting for people. And I was sitting on my laptop, and this guy joins my 100-200 table, and ElkY was, he was just having fun. He was a little bit drunk, but absolutely fine. And he was walking around, and then he knocked over a lamp, which like almost fell on my laptop. He unplugged my laptop, and I was like, dude, like it's fine, but like, dude, I'm like playing 100-200, so maybe not do that.
Yeah.
Like right next to me. So he's like, and then he said, ElkY's like a cartoon, right? So ElkY just raised his hand in the air, and he's like, "I can do anything. I'm ElkY," like in a fun manner. And then my friend said, just also for fun, right? Like we're all laughing. And my friend was like, "Oh, ElkY, shut up, sit down. Otherwise we'll just beat your ass or something." And he's like, "You think you can beat me in a fight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." And then he's like, "Wait, I don't think so." I was like, "Okay." And ElkY and I were both at a spot in our life where we were maturing. We wanted to get healthy, but we're also still stuck in like the travel, online, fast food life. So, like you go to bed late, you drink a few beers, you get up, you play, you forget breakfast, like that sort of stuff, So then he said like, I was like, I don't think, have you ever done anything like sports related or fighting? Or I was like, okay, try to kick me in the face. I'll keep my hands down. And I was like, and he tried to kick me, and he kicked me at my elbow, and I was like, okay, dude, it's a waste of time. And he's like, oh yeah, let's bet on it then. And I was like, okay. So then he proposed to train for a year, bet 30,000 euros. And then we had to postpone the fight a few times, and we ended up upping it to like 100,000 euro bet, even money. And yeah, we ended up fighting each other like 2.5 years later in Spain.
And the way it's written up online is, you kicked him in the head a couple times and it was over.
Yeah, well, I don't think that does him a lot of justice, because like I felt like this insane sense of camaraderie after the fight, because right before the fights is very competitive, right? Like we have 2.5 years where every time you see him post something about his training, it annoys you, or you see each other at stops, and we'd get like super short with each other, and like you could tell that we're on a short fuse, because like you're training to fight somebody, right? You see it in UFC all the time. Like people start almost fighting at the press conference in the same week, but you zone in on somebody, and you really like, somebody's going to try and hurt you, right? So you get this like primal instinct reaction to start hating that person. And as soon as the fight is over, that just goes out the window. You just think like, holy shit, this person went through the same thing that I went through, and you feel this like huge sense of camaraderie where, I mean, I just have an insane amount of respect because I know how tough it is to fight now. You know, to like your mind goes through this whole process of why you're doing this. Why? Please go away. Why don't you go home? I mean, if you just talk to ElkY, I'm sure he'll feel the same. And then going through that and knowing that he went through that as well, because that's what your body does, right? I read a lot of books before the fight about that, and then I just felt so much respect. And also, like, he was losing. I know that his leg was like super busted up from low kicks, and then I knocked him down, and he still got up to fight more. Like, that got my respects, like, in the highest order. So I mean, yeah, I happened to win that day, and yeah, whatever. But you know, I don't think that, like, I mean, if I walk out into town right now, I'm gonna walk into like 30 people that can crush me, right? So it's not about if you win a fight. I think that showing up to the fight is what shows that you have backbone. So when people are saying like, oh, knocked him out good, it's like, okay, yeah, you clearly have never done anything competitive fighting, because then you wouldn't say toolish shit like that. So, you know, whenever people say that about ElkY, I get super protective because I'm always like, wow, that guy, you know, I would know what he went through. So please, you know.
Well, you say there's 30 people that can beat you up, but that's not that many. I mean, you got to still feel pretty good about the skills you gained during that time, right? You know, especially protecting the new family, you know?
No, that's true. I mean, it's true. Like the best, one of the best things about learning fighting is that after that, the chances are less big that you have to use it just because of how comfortable you get. Because like one of the things I learned in kickboxing is like, holy shit, you know, I got the shit beat out of me at training, but I'm fine the next day. So what? My eyes black, and you know, as long as people don't do like crazy shit like kick you in the head and stuff when you're outside, if somebody punches you, it's really not that big of a deal, you know. And it's just like, okay, so yeah, it hurts, and sometimes you lose, and it's fine, you know. But just the fact that you're okay with that, that you're not afraid of that, gives you such a sense of security that people won't look at you as a target, right? They're like, wow, why is this dude so calm? It's like, so after that, you know, I've gotten attacked a few times in my past, and I've been in a few street fights because I got ganged up on, or we walk in a bad situation, or a friend would start something stupid drunk. Like, you know, there's been like 5, 6, 7 times where something like that happened. And after that, just never again. Even in like situations where stuff seems to get out of control, you're just like, okay, well, you know, let's not do this. I mean, do what you have to do, but I mean, I'd rather everybody goes back to drink a beer and just have some fun, and I don't think this is necessary. And that is so much more intimidating, you know. So that's why I say, like, the nicest thing about learning how to fight is that you never have to do it again outside of sports. So that's definitely a huge asset.
So outside of the prop betting, you're obviously still playing online, and you start to focus more online after that. You do Supernova Elite 3 years in a row, and then all of a sudden, Twitch comes into the picture.
Yeah.
I remember when Twitch was first starting, and it was just video gamers, right? Like, there was very little poker content at all, and the things that were out there were getting almost no views.
Yeah, exactly. So I started watching Twitch in 2009 when it was Justin TV. I would watch the shittiest productions and these StarCraft tournaments with, like, they looked like they were recorded with mobile phones, you know, and
yeah.
So I was grinding elites, and I was playing PLO, and I was just kind of like driven by, you know, trying to make points for elites and not really progressing. And I was just super, super, super miserable. It just wasn't the best time in my life, and relationship wasn't in a good spot, and you know, I was just traveling, and like I just didn't really know what I wanted to do, but it also felt like I had no clear direction, and because I had played live so much, I kind of lost touch with online. And so, like, this is like 7, let's say 8 years ago, right? And No Limit Hold'em back then, a lot of people in online cash games thought that GTO meant that you weren't exploitable, but which would be true, right? But they thought that being not exploitable meant that you didn't allow your opponents to make you a mistake, which resulted in nobody betting their hands. So games were so tight online. Like you would see top pair, top kicker against an overpair reach like 12, 15 big lines in no limit hold'em. It was just insanity. It was driving me nuts. So, I was looking for something else to do, played PLO, got super miserable in the grind, and I was really at a crossroads. And like I did a lot of, I took a break after the third time elite of a few months, and I talked to this coach that was really good at like time management and career management, and talked to friends, and he kind of, my sponsorship deal was super valuable, so I felt pressure in, being active there, and this coach gave me like insanely good advice. He's like, okay, so, the streaming is out there. I always thought that streaming and poker would go hand in hand together. When nobody was, I'm not trying to say that I was the first to think about it, because there were other people that had similar ideas. But I remember that I talked to people at PokerStars, and I was like, hey, there's this thing called Twitch, and I want to stream on it. And I did a test stream for the board back then, so some directors and stuff. And I said, and the ambassador managers, and I was like, hey, so this is it. And I played the music and I showed the tables, and I got back the message like, we have no fucking clue what this is, but go ahead. But
blind faith.
I couldn't break away from the security that the grinding gave me, and it was something super new. And I think that it really stemmed also not making the jump from not being comfortable with where I was at in poker. I lost touch, meaning also that I couldn't beat high stakes cash games because I was playing invitational games, private games, live tournaments. Like I would play a 200, 400 game every 10 days, and I can't play comparable stakes online because they'll fucking smash me. And if you can't play 5-10 and grind that when you're playing a 50k buying cash game 4 days later. So I just ended up playing a lot of live cash and doing that for 2 years, and traveling to tournaments, and then you come back in this online environment where you want to grind, and just everybody crushes you, because why the fuck would I need to study when I'm playing against 7 people that don't play poker for their job and they want to play me every week. So
there are pros now who that's their life, right? There are top live pros who basically have found their ways into these private games that are very lucrative.
Yeah.
And because of that, their skills have softened.
Yeah.
And now they can't compete, at whatever real heaven looks like today.
Exactly, and that's why it's so silly when people are like criticizing somebody like Tom Dwan for making like, oh, this is so not GTO. Look at him, like he does so much. Like his solver, like the solver solution says something completely different. Like, do you think that Tom Dwan's time is best spent studying Pio solver all day? It would be more lucrative for him to go to dinner with the people that he plays against a lot and go watch a football game, because that's like that social element, gets like people love playing with him because he's so socially strong at the table, and because he's approachable and he's fun to play with and all that stuff. So if he just builds relationships with people and just have fun with them, that actually is also, from a professional point of view, the best thing that he can do. So I don't think, Tom Dwan doesn't give two shits about the fact what a solver says. It doesn't matter for his games, right? He just knows these people through and through. And that's kind of what happened for me on a much lower level back then too. And I just didn't really have a sense of belonging, and that sucked because I loved poker. I was constantly always able to like kind of reinvent myself, do something fun, and I just, I didn't want to play live because I really hated tournaments back then, and I didn't really want to play online cash games anymore because I felt like a slave to point grinding, and I didn't want to play no limit hold'em cash games, and I just didn't know what to do. And at a certain point, I just said, okay, I'm just gonna stream, and I talked to that coach, and he's like, you just need to propose to PokerStars. Hi, please give me 2 months off, set up my stream, think about everything, know that I'll be back and do it. And, kudos to them because they give me all the space I needed, and they were super enthusiastic and supportive of me streaming. They talked to me about it a few times before that. And that's what made me make the jump. And, when all of a sudden I find myself like interacting with people and people asking me about stories from back in the day. And I love Twitch as a platform because, like I said, I already watched it in 2009. So I knew all the memes, I knew all the jokes, I knew all the streamers that were streaming random games, and and then my audience asked me to I was playing PLO tournaments on PLO cash games on stream, and I was sitting with like 1,500 and 1,000, And then somebody in chat was just like, hey, can you please play the big 22? It starts in 10 minutes. I was like, what? Why the big fucking 22? I'm playing 1K buying cash games. And then chat's like, well, yeah, we actually rather watch the big 22. And I was like, holy shit. Okay. And then I played tournaments a few times. So people were like, oh, this was so awesome. Please do this again. And then I was just like, okay, I have no fundamentals in tournaments. Haven't played them in 3 or 4 years. Didn't have the strongest fundamentals back in the day apart from deep stack play. So let's just really crack down on this. And I moved all the way back down, which is what I would always do when learning a new game, and started playing $4, $5, $10 buy-in tournaments and just kind of grinded my way and started there.
Yeah, and that's obviously what the audience wanted to see, huh?
Yeah.
Now, did you feel pressure to perform for these people watching you? Not even just results-wise, but just as far as making fancy plays or just kind of forcing the action?
Nah, because I feel like you don't want to become sort of like a clown in the circus, you know? Like, I think that in the end, you perform best if you have good results in poker. Like, the person who's the best player is undeniably the one that makes the most money after 30 years, you know? That's I mean, playing the same games, whatever. But so, I mean, I don't want to. I already had this like huge misfit kind of feeling, you know, that I kind of lost my direction in poker, and I helped out a friend financially, which cost me a lot of money. That like one of my best friends went through something and helped him, then went on a downswing, then was just grinding the points. So I was like I said, I was miserable and I felt pretty vulnerable at the time, and like to try and act on top of that was just not going to happen. So I was just like, I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to tell people I have no fucking clue how to play tournaments, but I'll show you the journey together and start playing them, and we'll learn together. And, you know, I'll play fucking terrible the first half year, but hopefully I'll get better. And I think that people invested in that. And they also, you know, they've known me from WSOP and YouTube and all that stuff, and crazy online sessions. So, you know, they were already invested in my character, and, you know, just built from there and just showed through consistency that I was there to stay on Twitch.
It took you less than a year to get to 1 million views on Twitch, and I think you're now up to more than 250,000 subscribers or followers.
Yeah, followers, yeah.
What's your schedule like now, and how can people, you know, see your stuff?
I like the best thing for people to get to know my stream and see what I'm doing is always on Sunday, because I start at 2 or 3 p.m. Usually at 2 p.m. European time, which is 8 a.m. Eastern time, and then I just stream for 13 hours. So like every single time zone can find me on a Sunday. So I start, you know, Australian evening, U.S. morning, and I'll be there still U.S. afternoon and European evening and stuff. So the Sunday is a marathon grind, you know, and like the best time to check it out one time is then. Throughout the week, I'm streaming more European times, but you know, when there's like W Coop or Scoop, you know, with W Coop coming up later this year, I'm gonna I'll switch fully to the evening schedule and just grind like night after night to play all the W Coop events.
So for these, you know, obviously PokerStars has all these, the scoops, the W Coops.
Yeah.
They're very popular. There's a lot of events going on. How many are you loading up to put on the stream?
Well, I usually just try to play all of them. I mean, I don't play any mixed games. I'll only play PLO and Hold'em once. And I'll skip like 25Ks, but over the last few years, like, so I really started like $5 and $10 tournament grinding, and I'll play like $200 scoops, and I'll play satellites, because I feel like it's also important to show the journey and do it the right way, you know? So, but as I started winning and getting better, I started moving up. And then what I would do, I had a few big scores in some high roller tournaments. And what I started doing then is I kind of made like this sort of like entertainment fund for the stream. So I call it the degen fund, kind of like as a nickname. And because I had some success in some high rollers, and you know, PokerStars put me in a 10K once, and I won like 70K in there, and I started using that as a budget to put like some special tournaments on screen. So like an investment for my stream, right? Because in my head I was like, or I'm still like in some tournaments, I probably shouldn't play this tournament because people are too good. and I shouldn't be playing. But like, let's say I play a 5K tournament, and on average, I might lose $300 in that tournament, right? And I'll like that's probably an estimate of what that tournament would cost me in the long run. I was like, but I got to put a 5K on screen. People have something really interesting to look at. It makes it easier to battle other streamers that are playing like high stakes stuff. So I was like, this is just a marketing investment, right? So that $300 I look at as marketing investment. And if I go on a downswing in those high rollers, then I'll stop doing it. But I did well, was lucky in a few. So I was able to just keep playing them. And then, this past year I've been studying a lot, and now like results are going really well. And, like the play in the high rollers, I'm a lot more comfortable. Like now I feel like, in most of them, at least break even. I'm not touching 25Ks and stuff yet, but now I'm just like, barring the fund, I'm also just playing 5Ks and 10Ks, and some of them just because they're value, and others are super tough, and but like I just am adding more and more now as I get better, and I'm not skipping a whole lot of events. I think during Scoop I played every single session that I did stream. I played every single high roller there was.
So do you now consider yourself more of a tournament player?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm full on tournament player now, which probably makes the 2006 me cry very hard. But like something I used to like, tournaments were always a lot more straightforward. Also, tournament players back then didn't really work on their game; they just played. And cash is where a lot of the battling was at, and where a lot of people would talk strategy. And it always felt like, oh, tournaments at a certain point you get short, and then you can't do anything anymore. And that was just such. It's like nothing is further from the truth. And I think if you look at tournament players now, like the game is so much more complex than cash games, because now you have ICM with the pay jumps and final table strategies and big stack and tournament life and bubble pressure. And if you play cash games, you just usually learn 100 big blind ranges, and that's what you learn. In tournaments you have to learn fucking 10, 15, 20, 25 big blinds, like all these ranges for all your hands. It's so complex. And then with ICM in it, so I mean, and tournament players play like fucking gangsters. It used to just be like ace king versus queens, and now you see like people do all this crazy shit, and they study 20 hours a week, and it's at the top. And it's just I really can say that like tournament poker is a beautiful fucking game. I love tournament poker. Yeah, this is it's like going full circle or something, but that it's just such a beautiful game. So much psychology as well. So. But I'm 100% a tournament player. Like 99% of my 99% of my volume is in that. And I mean, I've actually, the funny thing is that I also get some cash game coaching now. And since 3 weeks ago, I've been dabbling back in the cash game pool. Also getting a little bit triggered by cash games again. So yeah, that's funny that I'm going that direction as well. But I've been, since a month or so, I've been working with BBZ poker, and we're starting on this like awesome like coaching journey, almost like this multi-year plan of really trying to get me to the top. And they have Crybaby is like this online cash beast, and he's doing a lot of cash game work with them, and he's offered to coach me for some content, which so I'm like, okay, fucking great. So he's kind of showing me the beauty of cash games as well again, so I've been playing that a little bit on stream as well.
All right, so we're going to have to ask you what you are again in a few years and see if your answer changes.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
We have some rapid-fire questions to close it out if you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so you brought up earlier that, you would make people your nemesis when you were playing them. Did you have an actual nemesis over the years, somebody who always held over you or got the better of you?
I mean, I don't know, hold over me, but I would definitely call ElkY one of my nemesis. I think so. Because we also did like lots of different variations. Poker wise, that's hard because you would have one in PLO and you would have one in live poker, and interesting. No, I wouldn't have like a clear cut answer to that apart from ElkY, because he kind of encapsulates all the battling on like fitness, fighting, StarCraft, poker. So yeah, let's go with ElkY.
You did a lot of prop bets with ElkY. What was the craziest prop bet you ever were part of? Other than
definitely
the kickboxing.
yeah, the kickboxing, because that was like 2 years in preparation and super intense, and it's kind of took over my life. And just like, I don't think it gets more raw than actual fighting. So that has to be the one.
Was there any other crazy bets that you made in the day?
Well, some weight loss bets that's, that were just like pretty intense where it has to lose like 15 kilos already not being, that overweight, with me and ElkY. I don't know,
How are the
lots of
two
like,
of you in a weight loss bet? That's the two of you are so thin.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was like we gained some weight and then we just decided to go all the way and ended up being super skinny and like ElkY doing some irresponsible sauna stuff, to get to his weight and, that sort of stuff. But I did a lot of spur of the moment bets. Would you bet that I can, jump off that? Or what's the first suitcase that comes off the belt? And like that kind of stuff. Like we do a lot of bets like that. So not like, I didn't have like a lot of big planned out propositional bets, just like more spur of the moment bet on this.
What is the biggest pot you've ever won or lost?
Biggest spot I've ever won was on the big game, 330K against Doyle Brunson.
That's got to be cool. What were the details
Yeah,
there?
for sure, because I'd already like I made a huge call against him on high stakes poker with bottom pair in a 200K pot, which at that point was my biggest pot I ever played. And I was super
Maybe
proud
if
of
I
that
ask
one.
Doyle who his nemesis is, he'll say you.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny too, because we had me and Doyle always like had a really good back and forth. We started out like kind of bumpy because like I joined that game in high stakes poker and he took back his ante and I said I thought you were a gambler and then he called me like he said is this game staked? And I was like calm down old man, like that's, and then I win that pot against him and then we started to get to know each other and we played the big game together and he said some really nice things to me. Like he said that I reminded him of when he was young and that was like such a nice moment or something for me. And I could see like, Greenstein and Negreanu kind of looking very wishful at that table like, oh, okay, I wish, and what about me, Doyle, kind of. So then I won a huge pot and,
They weren't
we had,
young anymore.
yeah. And then, yeah, I don't know. We just, we always had a good back and forth. So that was a good moment for me and obviously like really nice to win a big pot like that.
What about the biggest one you ever lost? You want to talk about that one?
Yeah. The biggest one I've ever lost, I think I bluffed in a 200K pot against Negreanu on the big game. I triple pot bet the river all in with ace queen high, and he called me with top two. That one is a big one. I also lost in a live game. I lost 170K pot to a one outer. This guy kept saying that he had queens. He's like, I have queens. Trust me, I have queens. And he would do this. Like he would always call his hand, and like sometimes he'd be right, and other times not. And I flopped this. Not to tell a baby story, but it's just funny. But I flopped. I had king five of clubs, and I four bet pre-flop, and he calls, and it comes king high with two clubs. So I fire flop, I fire turn, and he had this tendency to blow up the pot when he just didn't want a third decision. So he shoved on me and he kept saying, I have queens. And I was like, okay, I call. And the river is the non-club queen. And he just tables queens without a club. And he's like, I told you I had queens. What are you doing, you noob? And I was just, it's 170,000 euro pot. So that's one of the biggest ones I've lost.
What a brutal comment that he gave you
Yeah.
at the end too.
And then that felt at me at the game and I didn't have any more cash on me and it would have been irresponsible to continue also like after losing that hand. So I was just like, okay, I'm out. And I was like, okay. And he's just like laughing. He's still one of my best friends, by the way. And he's just laughing at me. And then he's like, oh, hey, Lex, you forgot something. And the first thing that comes up into your head is that you forgot about a 10 or 25K chip or there's a 5K chip somewhere and you can maybe run it up or something. And I look around and he's just dangling this rubber band that my cash was in, Yeah.
That is so brutal.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay. What was your worst job before poker?
I worked in a elderly home kitchen, and we'd prepare the food and, I worked at the conveyor belt to do the food, prep the food, help clean it and help distribute the food among elderly people and stuff. And I worked that job from when I was like 11 till I was 19 and started living on myself. And I loved that job. So it made good money and it was gratifying and stuff. So I delivered newspapers for about half a year, like in the winter, which was fucking horrific. So I guess that one done.
You had a job at 11? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the child labor laws over there are crazy. Are you superstitious at all?
No. No, like absolutely zero. Yeah, no, not at all. Like I even I even say like um I played Chinese poker with a friend of mine who worked at PokerStars, and he really wanted me to win an EPT or do well because that was always like the classical success at poker, you know. And also back then it was weighted very, it was weighted as very important within PokerStars if you had a tournament win under your belt. And then I played Chinese poker with him, and I had one out to hit a 3, and I said, if I hit a 3 now, we're literally playing for $20. If I hit a 3 now, I will gladly never win an EPT in my life. And he was screaming for me not to open the card, and I actually hit the one-outer. And
Oh,
he was just, put his hands in his hair. He's like, what did you do? So like that sort of stuff I really don't care about, even though I've never won an EPT after that. So who knows?
well, you put it out into the universe. Maybe it'll happen next year. Okay, do you like telling people that you're a professional poker player?
Yeah, I take pride in it. Yeah, I mean, not when I'm going through border patrol, but that's usually not the best answer. But I think it's cool. I think poker's very cool, and I think that I mean, poker's a really hard fucking game, and there's so many levels to it, and it's so technical, and the people that are good at it work so hard at it, and they're so good at their craft. And there's so many things that you learn from poker. I'm super proud of being a poker player. And, if somebody has an issue with that, then that's their problem. And I never defend it either. If somebody wants to talk about it, wants to know more about it, or comes with sort of like a constructively critical question, then at a birthday party, I'm more than happy to engage. But if somebody says like, aren't you just gambling addicted? Then I don't got fucking time for that shit. That conversation's over,
Yeah.
There's not going to be a part of me that's going to be like, no, but listen, it's a lot of math, and look at this, and name an example, and let's play a game, or challenge them to a heads up or something. I was like, I don't give a fuck. If you have that little interest in getting to know what it actually is, then I don't have time for that.
Yeah, they just want to debate more than anything.
Yeah.
Are you? Sorry. Do you have a celebrity doppelganger, or have people told you look like somebody?
Well, Tom Green comes up a lot.
Okay, hold on, because I gotta put you guys side by side.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not seeing Tom Green.
Sometimes so Tom Green comes up, but oh no, wait, of course, Robin van Persie, Dutch striker.
What? Robin
and then V and then space and then VAN and then space and then PERSIE. Robin van Persie.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Listen, it's crazy because you know how sometimes somebody says, hey, you look like that person and you're looking like not at all. With him, I completely see it. And my Fatima knows him, and she's always like, whenever she talks to him or whenever she saw him or whatever, she would always get freaked out by how much he looks like me, or the other way around. And it's even down into how we walk and stuff. Like when I see him, when I used to watch him like play for Man United or the Dutch squad, I could see the same like kind of shoulders rolled forward or the hand motions and stuff. It really is crazy. Like when I was in Vegas right after a World Cup, or during World Cup, I was in Vegas. People would come up to me and talk to me and ask me if I was on vacation and stuff like that, and they would ask me for autographs and stuff. It's insane.
This is so. This might be the closest one we've seen so far. I mean,
oh yeah. I'm happy as born. How the fuck did I think of Tom?
He was born in Rotterdam, and you guys are the same age.
Yeah.
And his hair is even graying the same as yours.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. Same haircut kind of too.
Yeah.
Man, okay, yeah, that's going to be at least top 3 on the show so far as answers.
Nailed it.
Okay, where were we on this list? Favorite gambling movie?
Rounders, 100%.
Yeah. Do you love Rounders, or is...
Yeah, Rounders.
Were you big into Rounders when it? I mean, not when it came out, obviously, but.
Yeah, we watched Rounders. Like, I mean, when was Rounders released? But we let me look it up.
99?
Oh yeah, but clearly wasn't playing that now. So, but we like we watched it. I think every day for like 10 days straight with me when me and my friends started playing, and then we'd rewatch it. and we'd think about it, and we'd pause it, and we'd play it frame by frame to see what Teddy KGB mucked and all that stuff. You know, it's just, man, what a movie! Yeah, it was great. It's also, you know, like as a poker pro, there's so many things that are kind of stupid in that movie, but it doesn't matter, right? It's not written for poker players, so it's it's a fucking masterpiece.
Do you use movie quotes on a regular basis in everyday conversation?
Yes, I do it a lot. I quote so much pop culture stuff on my stream, but then the funny thing is that when people ask me about quotes, I'm really bad at those. So I know my own pop culture, you know, the stuff that I like. I know that really well. But
Is there anything particular you go to?
Big Lebowski, I do a lot. So Where's the Money, or you know, Calmer Than You Are, Bummer Dudes, like that kind of stuff. So Big Lebowski, and then I like Rounders comes up when I play on stream as well, for sure.
Do you have a bold prediction for poker's future?
I don't like, maybe 3 years ago would have been bold, but I just think that like it's gonna go more and more towards Twitch and that sort of stuff, that, you know, Twitch and YouTube related, and I just think that that's just like such an awesome way to connect casual people to what the game is and what it entails, and it's like it's a direct line. You know, this is one of the first times people can actually communicate to us, and there's, you know, community events are getting back. Like I do Lex Live, and then you have Andrew and Brad Owen, Andrew Nemi and Brad Owen, that do the meetup games and all that stuff, and I really feel like you capture that atmosphere that, you know, what EPTs were like back in the day, you know, when nobody really cared yet about making money, and it's very normal that they do now, but like playing the first World Series and then the last one I played was vastly different in terms of atmosphere and the kind of sense that you got from it. So I think that community stuff is going to be more and more important, and that it's also that, you know, sites are going to cater to that as well in terms of, you know, I mean, I know that tons of recreational people that play for fun love throwables and shit online, you know, on PokerStars. It's like when they're being under maintenance and they're not there for a day, is the number one question asked in chat. And some poker pros might wonder like, oh, I don't give a shit about the tissues being thrown at me and stuff, and I hate that stuff, but 99% of the people don't. And I think that it's just going to go more towards there. And, you know, VR poker is actually also running a lot. The PokerStars VR game is very popular. So maybe there, but I don't know. It's so hard to say. Bold prediction.
It does feel like it's moving towards a time where we're focusing more on the social importance of poker.
Yeah.
Because, you know, 5-6 years ago, we had a period of time where everybody was just worried about their bottom line, their hourly, getting into the game that, you know, was best for their bankroll. And then I think a lot of people have realized, you know, it's more important for me to play this game when it puts a smile on my face, when I can have a conversation with people and there's something to do besides just make the right EV play.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you know what, also as a professional, you know, like if you just always think about what's best for my bottom line, there might not be a bottom line in the future, because bottom line decisions aren't always the most fun and the most engaging for people. And you know, like your best bottom line decision when you play a live cash game might be when the worst player at the table leaves to also all leave, but that's not going to make that player come back because he hates that feeling, you know. So, or maybe chat during a hand, even though you might give something away against somebody. And I don't know. I feel like everybody can make their own decisions in that part, and like, you know, people that are uncomfortable should definitely not do things out of their comfort zone. But I do feel like a responsibility to grow the game or to keep it interesting. And it just, you know, for me, I'm lucky enough that it happens to go well with streaming as well. So
we end the podcast the same way every time, with a question from the random question generator. Here we go.
I like that.
All right. Do you have a favorite game show?
Favorite game show?
Yeah.
Let's roll again.
Yeah, I don't know how many game shows you watch of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, yeah, that's I don't watch a lot of game shows, so that would just be a non-answer.
Okay. Have you ever read a book that changed one of your long-held opinions?
Wow.
It's a tough one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I read a book about Stoicism a year ago, where I thought that Stoicism and being introverted and all this stuff was more about protecting yourself, but that's Stoic people, it's all about not showing any emotion, and that's why it was never interesting to me. But I read a book by Ryan Holiday, and it showed that Stoicism is a lot about getting outside your comfort zone and not being influenced by emotion. Doesn't mean that you don't feel it, but that you can actually explore more and expand your borders and be more comfortable with more. So it's more about teaching yourself to be comfortable with a lot instead of not feeling a lot and making sure you're comfortable. And that helped me a lot because, you know, I am introverted, and I, like, for instance, at a live tournament, like, I love social stuff, but it's also tiring to me. So, like, at a live event, I would hate getting on the mic and saying something, because that's not, I don't like the spotlight. And it's weird because I stream, but it feels very secure because I'm in my own room, and the camera feels like an audience of one, so the camera makes it feel like a conversation. I did a live podcast and I was just having like almost stress attacks. So I read a book about Stoicism. It's helped me a lot, and it completely changed my perspective about uncomfortability, and that it's more like a thing that you can learn from instead of just something that you always have to avoid.
It is interesting. I think I would have thought the same thing as well.
Yeah.
Not just necessarily just dead inside or unemotional, just, there's more to Stoicism.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, we had Patrik Antonius on the show a couple weeks back, and I was talking to him about his stoicism at the tables, and he was admitting, I look calm, but inside, there's some F-bombs being thrown, or maybe I'm doing backflips or whatever, so.
Yeah, that's what I always say, like, when people ask me, like, oh, why you so, on the stream, why are you so emotional, aren't you a pro? And I was like, dude, you have a camera on me playing online. Like, I know for a fact that Antonius has thrown his equipment through a window playing online. And when you see him, he's like a Terminator sitting at high stakes poker, but he gets emotional as well. But you can only, you should just only get emotional when people can't profit from it. And when you play a live game and you get emotional, people hold over you because they feel like, ha, I did that to you, asshole.
Exactly.
And when you lose the biggest spot in your life, and you can keep your face straight and you can ask somebody, hey, is it my big blind? There's nothing more fucking terrifying than somebody doing that. So then it's really good to keep that boiling inside, So, but, I would like to find somebody that doesn't bubble at 25K online and doesn't slam his fist on the table.
Right, and it's good to let out the emotion. Makes
Yeah.
you feel better. Anyway, Lex, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing the stories.
Yeah, thank you, Julio. I had a good time. It was really interesting and fun questions, and definitely fun to take a trip down memory lane as well.
That's it. That is the show. Thank you once again to Lex for taking the time, especially during such a busy time in his life. Congratulations on the new baby, and also congratulations on the recent wedding. Lex is currently on his honeymoon, but when he gets back, he will be deep into the Twitch grind, playing almost every day of the World Championship of Online Poker, better known as WCOOP on PokerStars. Find Lex on Twitter at Lex Veldhuis or on Twitch at Lex Veldhuis. Better yet, you can find all of Lex's links at his website, lexveldhuis.com. Of course, find us at Card Player Media on both Twitter and Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like what you heard, please do us a huge favor and leave a 5-star rating and review. Then let us know you did it with an email to pokerstories@cardplayer.com, and we'll say thanks with a free digital subscription to Card Player Magazine. Thanks for listening.